We're about halfway there, it says. Okay. Okay, we are live today with Sip with Stacey, and I'm so super excited to be here. We are spilling the tea with a Texan Women's Council realtor. Her name is Renae Pretty, and we are so excited to have you on the program today. Renae, can you tell us a little about your Women's Council why?
Sure. I'm really glad to be here today, too. Thank you so much for the invite. So I guess my Women's Council why, my why is to give back. My why is to serve others, to empower others and lift people up. So that's basically my entire why is the ability to be able to lift people up and to show people the capabilities that they may not see in themselves.
Oh, that's wonderful. That's wonderful. Now, can you tell me what year you started as a realtor, Renae?
So technically, I started as a realtor in 2005, but I have been licensed in several states and moved around quite a bit. So the year I started in real estate in Texas, which was the year I started really getting involved, was back in the end part of 2015, and I joined Women's Council in 2016, the end of 2016.
Okay. And so you got into Women's Council just a few years later. Now, how did that happen? Was it just, did you just organically, or did someone actually come up to you and say, you know what, you need to look at this organization? How did that happen, Renae?
I would like to say that somebody lifted me up on that one, but no, it's kind of very similar to with me going into the President's Circle as well. Whereas I have brought a lot of people into the fold of President's Circle, I learned about President's Circle myself by looking at social media, kind of the same way I learned about Women's Council by seeing social media posts, or in our little newspaper for our association, there would always, and this was, back when it was still a chapter. Yeah. But they'd always have these monthly lunches back then, and you would see all this just crowd of people that were high up in leadership at our board that would attend these Women's Council lunches and get together and collaborate. So it piqued my interest of, well, if you want to be a leader and if you want to be successful in this industry, you surround yourself by people who are strong and successful. So that's kind of how I started attending. I got onto the website, I paid my dues, and I started coming to meetings. I was pretty sporadic with meetings, however, until probably about 2018.
Oh, okay. So now that you just brought up President's Circle, let's talk about President's Circle. I would love to know how you got involved as a major investor. So let's talk about that.
So that actually was a tap on the shoulder. The whole major investor thing in general actually was a tap on the shoulder. So back in 2017, I guess I was about a year and a half maybe into real estate in San Antonio, and our dad at the time, his name is Justin Landon. He's now the AE in Lexington, Kentucky. He tapped me on the shoulder and he goes, okay, well, I see your success, as in, I was starting to sell quite a few homes. And he's like, I see your success. You're sitting as the vice chair of YPN at our local board. And he's like, and people are watching you. So really, you should step up and you should become a major investor. He said, it's $1,000. It's probably less a month than you spend on your Starbucks, which he's not lying. It's less than I spend on my Starbucks in a month, especially back then. And I said, sure. So I had that conversation with him that year, right around the time of Hill visits, which was what Texas does every time legislature's in session. we stormed the Capitol. And then I started giving some, and I guess maybe I was about $250 in. And I went to the YPN Advance, which I believe at the time was still called the YPN Leadership Retreat up in Chicago back in August of 2017, where I did the YPN pledge and gave the rest of the money toward becoming a major investor. And and side note, that was also the year I found out that Texas is on a completely different schedule than the rest of the United States on their investments, from October 1st to September 30th versus, January 1 to December 31, like the other 49 states.
I had no idea, Renae. I had no idea. Why do they do that?
I don't have all the answers on that, but I do know it's like a fiscal year type of thing. And it does work for Texas. It really does work for our goals. It does.
Wow, that's crazy. I had no idea.
But yes, that was absolutely 110% a tap on the shoulder on that one.
Wow. Okay. So I have been a major investor now for like the last 3 years, and I love the President's Circle. Can we talk about the President's Circle just a little bit? Because once you go to a President's Circle conference and you hear the speakers, the level of speakers, you're so blown away. You are just so eager to go to the next year. I don't know how you feel about this, but that's how I feel. Let's talk about President's Circle. So we have major investor, and we have 4 different levels of major investors and maintaining those levels. But then we've got this President's Circle that's up on top. Go ahead and talk about that, Renae.
So I serve as a trustee in the state of Texas for our TREPAC trustees. And I know that there are several other trustees along with myself that are President's Circle members. And I guess I am about 3 or 4 years, I know I take that back, 19, 20, 20. Next year will be my 5th year as a President's Circle member because I joined President's Circle in 19.
Okay.
I had serious FOMO in 18. I didn't get it in time then. So I got it in time. I got it in time in 19 to attend in 20. And that was my first President's Circle was in Miami Beach. And it was, let me be honest. The level of speakers is a level of speakers you're not going to hear anywhere else other than President's Circle. They're fabulous. They get up there and they have breakfast with you and different things that they do while you're at the conference. And they make you realize, okay, they're a politician, but you don't necessarily have them on a pedestal because really at the end of the day, they're just like you and I.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a smaller conference. It's all people who have given that investment into President's Circle and their guests, several of those who then go on to become President's Circle members. But I was going to say, it's a smaller, more intimate conference. The networking is bar none. And the friendships you make at those are friendships you will have forever.
Absolutely.
I'm a little passionate about that stuff.
Yeah, no, President's Circle. I went as a guest my very first time, and then I raised my hand and signed up immediately. And I realized the power of those conferences, the information, and how important advocacy is in our industry. And whatever industry that you're involved in, you've got to be an advocate, because if you aren't, someone else is steering the boat. So I am so supportive of President's Circle and being a major investor. So thank you for your dedication, Renae, and sharing that with others, because we need other realtors that will do that like you have. I would like to talk about CRS now. Let's talk about your involvement in CRS, RRC, how long you've been there, and what that is doing for your career.
So that's another little interesting story. So it must have been 2010, 2011. I was in a small town in Oklahoma selling real estate at that time, whole military life thing. And I do recall that we had one CRS in that city. And to my knowledge, she's still the only CRS in that city. And I remember she would get all these referrals because she was the only one who was a CRS in that city. And I know you don't just go into things because, you want people to give you referrals, but they do help your business continue to grow so that you can continue to get out there and be able to continue to give back, because volunteering is amazing, but it still costs money to be able to go places. That being said, I believe it was probably 2012, I actually joined the council itself and started doing the education and stuff. It was a little bit of a slow process. I transitioned states in 2014. I had to get everything readjusted, get through some other things in life, and life hands you lemons occasionally. You make some really good cocktails out of them. But I digress. That in 2016, I really, really nailed down getting that CRS because I knew that it was time. I did my remaining education classes. All of them I did in person because it was 2016. I traveled all over the state of Texas and even into Virginia for one of them to get my hours for CRS. And I was officially a CRS as of March of 2017. I then immediately started volunteering on the masterminds and committees with CRS on the national level. And I have not really done a whole lot with CRS on Texas level, but on national, I've been involved since 2018. Wow. And this year I serve on their awards committee.
Wow. Well, very good. Thank you for your dedication and that you jumped right in with CRS. And it sounds like the education alone has benefited you in our profession. And then also, like you had mentioned, just the referrals. It is, I believe, and correct me, is it the top 3% of realtors that only have a CRS designation?
I would do the math that it's around 3% because I do believe there are somewhere between 34 and 36,000 people who have their CRS. And that's out of 1.5 million realtors. So it's probably 2.5% to 3% of realtors who have the CRS. Yes.
So it's definitely an elite group then. Well, congratulations, Renae. Can you talk a little about your involvement and area?
So my involvement with ARIA is another one of those pull me up by the hand things, because I have a really good friend here in San Antonio, and she is the founding president of the San Antonio chapter of ARIA. And she pulled me up by the hand and thought that I would be a good fit to become involved with ARIA. And my involvement on the local level of ARIA was to be on the policy committee and to be their policy chair and organize Hill visits, especially during COVID times when we had to reach out to staff and arrange all those visits to be, I would say 5 out of 6 of them would be on Zoom. And one congressman was not even, I won't even say willing to meet with us in person. That's what he wanted, was to meet in person. He was absolutely fabulous. His name's Congressman Gonzalez of House District 23 here in San Antonio. I believe it's 23. He covers a large expanse between here and El Paso. And he's absolutely fabulous. His name is Tony Gonzalez. And he wanted to meet in person during a COVID time when other people were not. So after the policy chair thing, I decided, okay, well, ARIA has national committees. You're seeing a trend here, I'm assuming. But I was like, okay, ARIA has committees also. How can I get involved and give back? So I remember I signed up to be on a committee. And the next thing I know, I'm getting a text from the incoming 2023 national president asking me, so, hey, we want to interview you to be the vice chair of the EDGE committee. We think you're our fit. And I'm thinking, okay, now that's awesome. I I'm sitting here in my head, trying to wrap my brain around it going, I don't recall applying for a vice chair position, but so if y'all think I'm qualified to do this vice chair, then okay, let's do this. And I mean, it took a couple of months to get everything ratified by the board of directors with ARIA and all that, probably because I was new and I was unknown and people just didn't know who I was. So that might have been part of it. But in this first year serving on the ARIA committee with being a vice chair, we have got our mentorship program off the ground. We've done we did a 6-month trial basically to test it out for the first year within our committee. And the mentors are several past leaders within the organization. And it has been a rousing success and something that now next year in 23, when I'm chair of the committee, I want to expand upon that. I want to expand upon my chair's vision of things from this year, make it bigger, and take it down to the local levels where maybe people don't know what they should do on a local level, and mentor those future leaders, those emerging leaders, which is now what we're considering the EDGE committee to be, is a committee of emerging leaders. It's almost basically a rebrand of the committee. So it's been absolutely fabulous. It really has been.
That's great. That is just wonderful. I have people texting me saying, hello, Renae, hello, Renae. So that's why I'm looking down. For friends that have just joined us just a few minutes ago, we are sipping the tea with Renae Pretty from Texas. And we are just finding out all kinds of great information and shining a light on her. So thank you for joining us. I see Gwen and Cherie and a few others that are texting me. So thanks for popping in and listening. We are also going to share this recorded Sip with Stacey afterwards, so you may be able to replay it later and find out all the great details about Renae Pretty from Texas. Now, Renae, I want to talk about your volunteering, okay? What you do in the community and how you have dove into certain aspects of your community to make it better, because this is fantastic that you are the kind of person that gives back so much, and I want to shine a light on you. So go ahead with that, Renae.
So I guess my first volunteering, it has been going on since before I became a realtor here in San Antonio, where when I first moved down here, I had been volunteering for, I don't know, 3 years probably, with an organization called the Boxer Rescue of Oklahoma. And I had been volunteering with them, I think, from probably about 2011 till 2014 when I moved to Texas. And when I moved here, of course, the first thing I could think was, okay, well, I'm not going to get to go to dog adoption days anymore. I'm not going to get to be a dog walker. I'm not going to get to do this or do that. Well, lo and behold, I found Austin Boxer Rescue. And I own 3 dogs now that are adopted through Austin Boxer Rescue. I try to help. I have 3 big old boxers. I admit I'm a dog crazy lady. There's no hiding that I'm dog crazy. That's just a fact of life. If you look at my phone, there are like 5 photos of my dogs to every 1 photo of my children, who I love very much, but they're teenagers and they hide from cameras, and my dogs pose for me. So anyway, so my love of dogs, I volunteer helping with fundraising when I can. I do adoption days, dog walking, matchmaking, everything I can to get the message out that as long as we keep people adopting the dogs, then we have room to bring in more dogs that would otherwise be homeless on the streets or potentially in a kill shelter, where some people mistakenly see boxers as a very aggressive breed, and they may not always get adopted, therefore get euthanized. So you have to bring awareness to that. And also I volunteer through my office. I do habitat builds. I'm a PTA mom. Yeah, I'm one of those. I'm just not as involved as some because we all know how real estate can be. But I am a PTA mom of several years now. I guess I've been part of PTAs for 8 or 9 years. My youngest is a special needs child. He is a high functioning autistic. So I've done a lot of things with different autism organizations over the years as well. His name's even been on a race car a couple of times during NASCAR races during Autism Awareness Month. So my kid's known. But you have the last name Pretty. I mean, I digress though. I love giving back. A lot of my volunteering has been through, again, our association. Sabor has, their charities of choice. I've noticed that our Four Rivers Association up in New Braunfels has their charities of choice, and all of it is giving back to, say, SAM Ministries, which helps the homeless families, San Antonio Food Bank, Habitat for Humanity, Haven for Hope, another organization that helps the homeless. So giving back is just something that's ingrained in me. There were times in my life that I struggled very much, and I never forgotten that there were people who helped me. So I always told myself, when I reach a position that I can give back to others, I'm going to give every resource within my ability to make sure I'm always helping other people.
That means so much. Thank you for sharing that, because that is so true. And it speaks such highly of you as a leader, Renae, is that we always need to remember that there's somebody out there that needs a helping hand, that we need to be able to reach out to, and that never forget if you have struggled in your life. And so we should always be giving back. And then those that have never struggled still should be helping to give back, because it's the right thing to do at the end of the day. So thank you for recognizing that in your life and being that kind of a servant leader. That's what we need more of in this world. So I am so honored to be able to shine a light on you today, Renae, and all the good works that you're doing out there in your community. I also really love that you're involved with Habitat for Humanity. That's a wonderful, wonderful organization, building homes for people that need homes, because we realize that when our communities are in homes, the education level is better, the families are safer, the relationships are better, everything is better. So thank you for diving into that as well and helping people. It's all about giving back, and together we are better. So thank you so much, Renae, for opening up, giving us a little glimpse of who you are and what you are doing out there in the great state of Texas.
You're very welcome.
We're so honored to have you on. Is there anything you'd like to just say in closing? Because we are already at 8:30. It goes so fast.
So I was just going to say, like, as far as things go, like giving back, it means the world. Sometimes you think you don't have time to give back, you don't have this and that. But what you're doing when you do give back, even a little bit, means you never know who's watching it. It means the world to people. And that's like my biggest thing in life is be authentic, be approachable, and be you, because you don't know who's watching. You never know who's watching. That doesn't mean, okay, go out there and try to be something you're not, because people will realize when you're not authentic. But being yourself gives people hope that they can do things in their life too that maybe people have told them they can't do. But when they see you doing it, it gives them all the hope in the world that, hey, I have a chance in doing these important things too.
And I think it also speaks volume that you never know who you're helping. You're out there just doing the right thing, and you could be helping someone and not even realizing it. And then maybe years later, they come up to you and share that. So thank you for being vulnerable. Thank you for getting involved and doing the good works in your community. So everyone, let's give an applause to Renae Pretty from Texas and Women's Council. And thank you so much for being on our show today, Renae. And
you're so welcome. I'm so glad you invited me to be here.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, have a wonderful day, friends. And we'll see you next time with Sip with Stacey. Thank you. Bye, Renae.